So in Bitcoin news, according to CNBC, Bitcoin is up 28% in 2023. What's up with that, Dragon?
It's been a while, man, but I got excited again for the first time in a while. So let's get into it.
NFTs are changing the world, and change can feel complicated and scary. But listen, you don't need a computer science degree. You don't need to learn how to code. You just need practical skills to win.
If you are here, you are in the 1% of humans that are preparing for this major cultural shift. We're going to keep it fun. We're going to keep it light. We're going to make it practical. Welcome to NFTs Made Simple.
Just a reminder, we're not financial advisors. This is not financial advice, and you should do your own research.
Hey, let's get into it.
So, Dragon, we are back. It is 2023, and Bitcoin is up 28%. And I don't know if there's any signs of stopping. All I can say is to all you people laughing in December about all my cryptocurrency, who's laughing now, baby? Who's laughing now?
Yeah, this is so fascinating because just like when we received, the reality check that we were moving into the winter, which was also predicted, everybody, when things happen that smart people told you were going to happen, you struggle with it and you make predictions, all completely uneducated, unfactual things, So here we are again. It's so funny. And I'm going to release myself from like any angst or anything like this, but here we are again, watching something that we historically watched do something that we never thought was possible. My story is I didn't invest in it when I should have, and it went up to $68,000. And that whole way there, people were just saying, oh, it's all bullshit. This is never going to last. It's going to go down. So those people that said it was crap, they were super psyched to see the winter come. But the winter comes in across the board, and it's not just NFTs, crypto. It's not just in that space. It's also in the global market. But then this tickle of like, well, is this a good time to buy? Happens, right? Like we've recently had some really cool guests that are killing it in NFTs, and we're hearing people saying, hey, steady as she goes, dollar cost average. I think it's still a great buy to go into Bitcoin and all that. And everybody's contemplating, especially our followers. But here we are again, we just saw a tickle of it's like there's some PTSD involved in this. It's like the last thing you want to do if you're not in the game is see the same thing happen, or these predictions of like 250K a Bitcoin. When that stuff happens, what are you going to do? You're just going to go back to your old game plan of telling everybody it's bullshit and it's going to go down, or so it's an interesting thing. I think it's a great discussion for us to kind of like come up with our own, reasons from our research why this recently happened.
I definitely think it's something to assess. And I mean, let's be frank, Bitcoin is still down 50% since a year ago.
From like crazy land though.
Well, we were at 40K. We were at 40K, just over 40K a coin back in January of 2022. And now we're at just over 20. Although again, we're at 22 as of this recording.
Which means it's gone up since we spoke.
I think, frankly, I think that's likely, but who knows? I mean, we're in a pretty financially tumultuous time right now. And I think assessing where money is going is really important. I was listening the other day, and I think one of the reasons why Bitcoin in particular is so interesting to me is because it's deflationary. And one of the things that we've seen over the last few years is that governments be printing money, baby. They are just using these treasuries like money printing machines, like the way that my daughter thinks that ATMs work. My daughter just thinks you put in plastic and then just cash rolls out forever. But I think that a lot of people are just kind of wise to it. We see inflation going wild. The Fed keeps printing money. And, I think it's also important for us to remember that we're a globally connected ecosystem. So the United States has started to pull back on printing. The United States is like, we might have flown too close to the sun, but that's not going to stop the rest of the global community from printing. I heard this take the other day by Michael Saylor, and he's just going in on this because these other countries are going to keep printing money. And what are the richest of the rich going to do? They're going to find places to safeguard that cash from the inflation. So I think that's what we're seeing in Bitcoin right now, quite frankly. I think people are starting to say, you had another interesting noted thing that you had noted as well, Dragon, that might be driving this drive for Bitcoin in early 2023.
Yeah, you know, well, first of all, just back to you just gave me a funny visual about your kids, you know, and printing money. I just remember one time where we were in Arizona, we were in one of those lazy pools, and my wife saw my very, very young child go up to the server there and just like order a burger, fries, and a Coke, and then the woman said, and then he put it on our room. And I walked up to my son and I go, "Hey, let me ask you a question, Jackson." And he goes, "What?" I go, "Where does money come from?" And he goes, "You, Daddy." So he has something to learn. But yeah, so there's a couple of things. And one thing that just popped into my head was, if you really back up from it and look at it from, far, far away, what you'll notice is that during times where you use the word tumultuous. During tumultuous times where people are very, very apprehensive to spend money because there is a lack of it and a fear of tomorrow, you'll traditionally see people that do have money take advantage of that and invest in things that are low. Many, many billionaires have come from there. So that could be going on right now as well. Bitcoin it's crazy to think that $16,000 a coin is a good buy. But, if it goes up to 250K, you'll be killing yourself that you didn't do it. So the people that can afford to buy a bunch of that stuff right now, that might be what's going on now. It's just whenever everybody's broke, the rich get richer. But one of the common sense things that, if you just do a little bit of research, and we'll put some great article links in the notes on this, there's a couple of things going on. So obviously, inflation was very, very high. Inflation's high. And when inflation goes high, naturally, a side effect of that is that interest rates will go up. Now, Bitcoin is supposed to be like gold. It's supposed to be like inflation proof, right? But historically, and we don't have a lot of history yet in it, we see that that's not actually the case. So as of right now, what we see is that when inflation goes up, interest rates go up, Bitcoin has a tendency of going down. So that recently happened. Now, what you would...
I just want to kind of clarify this idea, right?
Yeah.
Because the global monetary policy of the Fed is saying, hey, we're going to increase the interest rates, which will hopefully lower the inflation problem, which in turn is going to impact the dollar, and the dollar is connected to Bitcoin, right? So it gets complicated too. What I think might be interesting is when you start to see the global currencies start, becoming less valuable, and then all of a sudden Bitcoin just really drives up. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of link that together, that the interest rates are more towards are impacting the dollars, which are
they're a byproduct of other, it's like
right.
when inflation goes up, he's right. That's the way they try to counteract it. But that actually is the thing that causes some of these markets to go down. So that's hypothetically what happened, and the reason why it went down so much, whatever percentage you mentioned. So recently, what they see is that it's not that that it worked, that interest rates caused inflation to go down, but what it did do is it slowed it down. Now, that was apparently what triggered a lot of people to all of a sudden go spend money on Bitcoin. So that's one thing that we can see. But there's another interesting thing going on, and that is, and this is something that we have to look at, because this catastrophe that went on, that's still going on, and it's world news with FTX and that whole scandal. The biggest problem with that was that, billions and billions of dollars were taken out of play, right? So a lot of these people that spend money in crypto that are the ones that we kind of want to spend money in crypto, especially when we own it. So it goes up. Those people were out of play for a while. So recently, I believe it was $5 billion. We'll put that information in the notes as well. $5 billion of those assets were recovered from that whole debacle. So another hypothetical is that the people that recovered that money went and spent it on Bitcoin. So, here we are once again. We've just seen it pop up. If you owned Bitcoin and you were buying it, even at a small, fraction through this winter, you're excited now and you're hopeful now. But the question is, where do we go from here? Is it going to keep going? Are you a fool? I myself, Mark, I'm playing the long game, because when we started NFTs Meant Simple, I wanted to learn all this stuff, but all of my investments are for my kids, not me.
Well, I think the FTX thesis is really interesting. It's a really interesting hypothesis, right? Where does all that cash go? It just disappears? Not. It's a very good chance it's finding its way into other cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. We talked about, governments printing money. The store, the one thing that, that has me a little nervous about Bitcoin is there's not as much utility to the coin. It's more seen as a store of value, which I don't know. We'll see how that plays out.
What's the utility to cash? I mean, it's the ultimate utility if you can use it. Right?
It's because I trust that other people will accept it.
Right.
So as long as that trust remains, Bitcoin remains a very solid store of value.
What's interesting is things tend to trend, right? And, during the winter, and we did an episode on this, there's been a lot of trending, stuff. It was like NFTs were crazy, and it was like crypto NFTs. And then when things kind of slowed down there and the flash and the pan slowed down, then it went to metaverse and Web3 and blockchain. But then all of a sudden, it was all about AI, so AI's
right.
been, so there's this group of people that are all into, that space, whether it's crypto, NFTs, blockchain, Web3, AI, virtual reality, all that stuff. They're kind of moving around. So it's interesting to watch the behavior of it, because they're kind of all,
they're all related.
They're all related, but there's it's like a different type of an algorithm, and that somebody is manipulating it from some vantage point. But it's interesting to watch the behavior of where these people are going to spend their money, and if you can figure it out, it might be something worth spending some time learning about.
So I love the point you made that we got the NFTs and the metaverse and the cryptocurrency and the blockchain and AI, but they're all related. I think this is really, a key thing that is kind of switched off in my brain as I hear about more technology impacting the world, because a lot of the utility that we've talked about with NFTs is directly related to how it's used in digital worlds like metaverses. Yeah. The cryptocurrency particularly, I think, is very interesting, because most people are not using Bitcoin as a way of exchanging goods and services on a regular basis.
Although you go to a cash machine, if it's not like an ancient one, and Bitcoin is something you can use,
and that's the key. Yeah. That's the key is to making it easy, a simple cashless, trustless, or trusted system that works. And I think that maybe we're only one or two technological jumps forward for that to become mass adoption. So one of the things that I could see is we just don't have a lot of usage of Lightning wallets. It's not easy to transfer this stuff just yet. And you have to go through intermediaries, and there's fees and costs. But if Bitcoin could be easily, quickly transferred via Lightning wallet from my phone to yours, or from my little doohickey to your little doohickey, my wallet to your wallet, ledger to your ledger, well, then all of a sudden you could see this thing go from hundreds of millions to potentially billions of users all over the world. And that, I think, is how Bitcoin goes from a 28% increase to a 28,000% increase. And maybe it's Bitcoin that becomes most widely used. Maybe it's something else. We don't know. I think the example that I think continuously comes back to me is the usage of QR codes. QR codes were not used, and all of a sudden the technology became adopted by 100 people, then 100,000, then all of a sudden it went wild. So I think if we hit that one little technological advancement with Lightning wallets, and it could just become mass adoption all over the place. Your grandma might be paying you in Bitcoin, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, so you're bringing up some really, really good insight, for our listeners. It's like, where should you be looking? Should you be looking at Bitcoin, or should you be looking at, the global market? Because Bitcoin's not going away, and the space. And when I say space, I'm referring to like Web3, blockchain, a space where, and metaverse, those things are not going away. The only thing that we have to figure out, to Mark's point, is how to use our currencies, our NFTs and cryptocurrencies, which is the only thing that you can use in there. I'm pretty sure that cash and things like that are going away, but it's not the actual asset as much as the usability and transferring of it and connected to the utilities, like you were saying. But I think that, the two things that I am very, very bullish on, because I look at Bitcoin, I look at NFTs, those are the currencies that we're going to use. Of course, that's going to be there. And the technology of blockchain and Web3, super, super cool. That I'm very, very bullish on. But where I have my eyes set right now is on the temperature of the global market, because whether you think things are good or bad, there's money to be made. That's for sure. But then also, what is coming, and we saw it happen with NFTs, Mark, what's coming is like massive. I believe the smartest people in the world are the villains that wait for these things to happen and find out how to screw them up and steal. So I'm very, very bullish on looking at any of the companies that are getting involved in like cybersecurity. My son has decided that his major in school is going to be, I didn't even know this existed. He's going to be studying digital forensics. I didn't even know that existed. So that is an area that I think, unfortunately, is going to be really, really important. I think you're going to see massive multi-trillion-dollar companies in the future that are like the new McAfee or Norton antiviruses, but for that space.
It's going to be a wild, wild ride. That is for certain. What's going to happen with Bitcoin? Going up or going down? We want to hear from you. Hit us up at NFTs made simple at gmail.com. Link below. Dragon, any final words, any final predictions for Bitcoin over the coming year?
No, I mean, I'm very excited about everything, the good, the bad. It's all good. But just don't be surprised, if all of a sudden, everything that people predicted that you thought was foolish happened. So, this is not financial advice, but I don't think it's a good idea to just sit on the sidelines and watch the game right now. I think you need to be smart, do your work, pick somebody that you follow, and in some way, shape, or form have some sort of a strategy or an action plan, whether it be teeny in little increments or something big, whatever you can handle. But now is not a time to just sit and watch the game.
I don't think so. And I'll tell you what, I will definitely not be selling any of my my crypto. No. Long-term, babe. All right, we'll catch you here next time. Thanks for subscribing to the show. Make it count. See ya.